To make the flower. It's a short loom, as you can tell. You don't need a big loom to make this. What you're also going to need is these clips, and that's just what they're called. They're called clips. And all you're going to do is attach them on to the back, because there are pegs here. So you're going to take the first one, attach it in the first holes, and you'll be able to, pretty much what works out perfectly is the next holes that they would actually fit into, which is over here, is the perfect space to be able to make the stem. And then what you're going to do is you're going to cast on whatever way it is that you want to. Let me see, gotta get my string here. So then you're going to cast on, which means make your slip knot. I usually leave a lot of a tail just so I have enough to work with for when I want to switch the project over to something else. So you make your slip knot, put on whatever peg it is that you want to start on. Make sure the tail is through the loop. And then what you're going to do, it's pretty simple. You're going to do a stitch that I call as a 1/2. I'm not sure the actual name for it, that's just how I remember it. So you're going to end up wrapping the pegs around, so there's 3 strands on each peg. What this is going to create is a nice tight stitch so that you won't see the the tongue depressor. I'm not really sure if it's called a tongue depressor. It's bigger than a popsicle stick. I'm sure you can find it for any craft store. This is actually what's inside of the flower for the stem. All I'm going to end up doing is making enough of space that I can slide it right in there and then bind it off. So what you're going to do is you're going to go around, like I said, so there'll be 3, as you can see, so we have 3 strands of yarn. You might need to push them down a little bit. Try not to do it too tight. I want you to get back to the beginning. As you can see, you've got 3 strands. So then you're going to take the tool that I just lost. Where did it go? Oh, I hate when I lose stuff. Let me see, where did I put it? Oh, right here. Okay. Then you're going to take your hook, and you're just going to take 1 loop, the bottomest loop, up over the top 2 loops. So you take the bottom over the top, and this is going to be, as I said, the encasing of the popsicle stick. So what you're going to do is you're going to keep going around and around until you get the length of this. Now a good thing to do is once you get this green just past down here, I will show you a little trick that I like to do. So get yourself so that you have at least 1 inch or 2 past the loom, and I'll show you the next step. Okay, now we're on to the fact that you can see that I've got a little bit sticking out of the bottom. And what I do is I take my crochet hook, because I want to make like a pocket, and the pocket's going to be to be able to set this in to see how much more I need to do. So all you're going to do with the crochet hook is you're going to put it through both strands and just pull that through so that it closes off. You want to close off that hole so that the tongue depressor, whatever you want to call it, does not go through. So that's all you're going to do is just put your crochet hook through, and you're just closing it off. So that way it creates the pocket so that you would be able to put the tongue depressor in. Sometimes what I like to do is create like a knot. So I'll put my finger in between and grab behind it so it gives me that little bit of slack. Of course, not going to work this time, but okay. Maybe not. But anyhow, you're going to cast that off so that it will create a pocket so that the tongue depressor will, you can snip it off later, but what it's going to create is basically a pocket for you to set this in. And this way you can see how much more you're going to need to knit to make it the length of this. So keep going until this is buried. Basically go a few more stitches past this and then close it off. So we're going to do that until it closes this off. So keep going until that happens, and I'll see you back in a little bit. Now, using this loom, we are going to create the flower. Pretty much this that was on the flower to begin with. We're going to create this part, because you're already going to have this stem done, and now you're working on the flower part. So you're going to create your slip knot, which you got to find. I just created one. Again, leave yourself a lot of string at the end to use for putting it together, and then you're going to go through this way instead of the normal way and kind of loop it on there. And what we're going to do is a drawstring cast on. This way you can close it when it's on the loom, and continue working from there. So you got to pay attention to what I'm going to do. I know this is light string, I'm sorry, but you're pretty much going to go in and around each peg like this. Till you get back to the beginning. So I don't know if you can tell how they're kind of going in and out. Then you're going to lay your string on top of all the pegs. So you're going to kind of wind it so it's on top of all the pegs. Make sure I did that right. Let me see. Sometimes I have to go back and check because sometimes it doesn't want to cooperate. Okay. Here we go. So you wrap it so there's 2 strands after you've done that one part. That to the beginning. And then all you're going to do, what you're going to do is cast off where you see there's 2 strands. So this one has 2 strands, pull it over. This one has 1, so you leave it alone. This one has 2, so you pull it over. So it's pretty much every other one gets pulled over. Okay. Now what you're going to do is you're going to simply do your knitting like you normally do. And because this is such thin string, I'm going to do the same thing I did on the other one and go around until I have 3 strands on each. You can use a styler pen if you want. I made myself one. I'll show you that at the end of the video. I choose not to use it when I'm making videos because I'm not that used to it. I just made it today. So you're going to go around, and again you're going to go around to this 3 strands. So we only have 2, so we kind of push them down a little bit so we have the room. And then we go around again. Now I'm not sure how well this yarn's going to work because it is so thin. I just didn't want to use pink again. Okay, and then you can do the same thing we did on the other one. And what you can do this time is you can go to the end one and take this bottom strand over the top, and that'll keep them from falling off while you go around. I know I'm holding this upside down, but it's easier. And take the bottom strand over the top 2. So the bottom over the top 2. And make sure you give yourself some slack in this yarn so it doesn't get too tight. So again, the bottom one over the top 2. And you're probably going to do, this is a small loom, so you're probably only going to have to go around maybe, you're going to go for a little ways because you're going to end up drawing this closed and almost creating like a cup. Like the cup is the bottom part. You're going to create like a cup. And that's what's going to be the flower. So basically, there we go. Okay, so they're all on there, and you're going to keep going and going. Again, taking the bottom one over the top 2, so you're going to need to push it down. So they all have 2 strands. And then you wrap it again. Oops. And that always happens to me. Okay, let's try this again. It is very thin yarn, so that might change this up a little bit, which all that means is you use a different yarn for yourself. But this is what I'm using for right now. And again, this is the starting peg, so this is your start one. But go to the one that the last one you did, and bring that bottom strand over. Oops. And now keep them in place so that you can go around and do all the other ones. Okay. Now, what you're going to do is keep going until you probably start to see it come through the bottom a little bit. So go until you get to about where it's coming through the bottom, and then I'll be back with you and show you the next thing I do.